Hey everyone, welcome back to Redbanditracing. Welcome back to the channel. We got the X-MAXX 8s here, and as you can see, we got the HobbyWing MAX6. We're gonna be installing this today, get rid of all of our woes, and get this truck back up and running. Can't wait for this. This is long overdue. Definitely gonna improve this truck. We're gonna walk through, put this in. We will be running it in this video, so stay tuned. See if it cuts out, make sure everything's good, because right now, with all the cutout, everything that I do to this, I just have it in the back of my head that it's gonna cut out, so it's really been bothering me. But we got the new servo in. Haven't been able to drive it yet because we gotta get this ESC fixed. As you can see over here, we do have the MAX8. We're gonna be putting that in the sledge, boost the power. Now, I gotta make sure that's gonna fit. So when I do that video, we gotta make sure that the motor wires actually get to the ESC because of where it's mounted. We're gonna check that out, make sure that we get everything we need before we start that video. We also have the multifunction LCD programmer box. I'm hoping everything gets fixed, so let's just jump right into it and get this thing installed. All right, so the first thing that we're gonna do, let's go ahead and get everything disconnected. Right now, let's go ahead and take the receiver box cover off so we can access the wires. Go ahead and disconnect the ESC, which is, there you go, channel 2. Let's go ahead and unscrew it now. I believe this one is your 2.0. Sometimes you have to angle it just right and then squeeze it out. There you go. These wires are pretty short, so we're probably gonna have to do something here with this bracket. I don't believe you're gonna need the voltage sensor wire anymore with the HobbyWing because it's not gonna need it. I'm not 100% sure on that because the X-MAXX 8s is the only car that I know that you have to have the voltage wire. If you disconnect the voltage wire, it won't recognize the ESC and the motor. For some reason, I think that's how it's recognizing it, and it's not gonna function correctly. You have to leave those wires in with the stock ESC. Now with the HobbyWing, I don't believe you need those. I am not 100% sure on that. From what I've been told, you can disconnect those. So personally, I don't use them and I really don't need them. Well, the only problem is the fans are connected to that one. So you know what, we might leave it just for now, but just note that your fans are all connected with that voltage wire. So, and let's go ahead and grab the HobbyWing and open this up. All right, look at that. I'll show you guys everything that it comes with. Here's the MAX6 EZRun HobbyWing. This has to be a type of sensor. So, but we're not gonna be using that right here. We're gonna be using these two. These obviously gonna be for your battery. So we're gonna have to solder new connectors on, which I have them. It's gonna be part number 3070R. And those are gonna be your connectors that we're gonna need to solder on. Now in the box, it's gonna come with your extra wires that you're gonna need. Just like that, we're gonna solder those on. It's gonna come with some heat shrink, some zip ties, 3M tape, and some tape for the button, for the power button. So it's also got the instructions and it's got some cool stickers. And here it is, built-in fan. Looks like you can service the fan. You just take the top cage off. Now these wires, the bullet connector wires, those should fit just fine, but that's what I was talking about. The way that we're gonna have to route this, that looks like for an LED. I wonder what that is. I'll have to look that up. Well, it says LED, but that might be for something else. This should fit. We just have to make sure we mount it as close to the motor as we can because of how everything connects. So, and as you can see, there are no screws. That's why you have to use a 3M tape, which is no problem. This is actually for the motor sensor. So if you do have a HobbyWing motor, that's what you'd be connecting to if it's censored. But what we're gonna have to do is mount this as far forward as possible because you need the extra space in front for this cover because this cover does have this protrusion right here. So you're gonna make sure you gotta clear that. So what we're gonna do is just mount this as far close to this way as we can. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get my cutting wheel and we're gonna cut this off. All right, we got that taken off. Now the wires can go directly down. Directly down, perfect, just like that. So let's bend those wires back. We're just getting this prepared, but what we're gonna have to do before this is actually installed is we need to put the connectors on. You have to make sure this is nice and clean. Now that that's clean, we're gonna get a little bit of alcohol. Get that nice and clean. Now that's nice and clean, that's all ready to go. Let's put this aside. I got my board here, my soldering kit. Now the solder that I'm going to be using, it's just Rosin core high grade. The thinner the wire, I mean the easier it's going to be to work with, because it's going to, you'll be able to melt it pretty quick. Now I do have some flux with me. This is just paste flux. This is good just to help with the heat transfer. Just makes things a little bit easier. Go and empty this out. As you can see, here are the connectors. Now these are for the 4S and above, the high current connectors. Now they are going to be marked positive and negative on each one. They are identical. First, we're going to start with these pins. Right here, where there's a, looks like a cross, there's a line drawn. You don't want to go above that mark. So your solder needs to stay below it. Have this facing up when you're doing it. You'll see an A right here, because that A in this connector, if you look in the side where you're actually putting the pin, you probably can't see it. Oh, you can just see it right there. See, it says an A. So obviously the A facing up is going to go just like this on both sides. I already got the heat shrink on all of them, ready to go. Now, what you're really going to want to do, it looks like this does have some solder already on it, so that's actually kind of nice. But what I'm going to do here is I'm probably going to take a little bit more off of it. All I'm doing is cutting it right there, and I'm pulling it off, just like that. There you go, cut that off. Now I'm going to get my other wires right here. And you know what, that's not too bad. I'm going to try that. I'm going to try leaving that one. But I got these ones shortened up. I have these clips here just in case I needed them, but that's a good idea. Just get some alligator clips, drill a hole through the end of them, drill them through some wood, and then bend them up. Or you can just buy a wire holder, but this is actually pretty simple. Now this can be a little bit tricky, as you guys can see, but if you take the flux, that's it. I'm just dipping it in. I'm not using a whole lot. You can do the same thing with these. I'm just going to do it to all of them. And this is just regular flux. This is actually solder paste flux. Model number 1065002. Now what I'll do is I'll just make sure that everything is in the description. That way you guys don't have to worry about it. Right now, as far as the tip goes, I like using the flat tip, because that way you can really press down on it. It's always a good idea to make sure you put some of this on the actual tool. Okay, as you guys can probably see, I put a little bit too much on there. I'm going to leave it just like that. Put this right over it. I might put a little bit more on there. Perfect. It's nice and tight. I'm actually happy with that. I haven't done one of these in a long time, so that's how it should look. You want to go nice on the tip and stay away from that top mark. If you go above that, you're not going to get the pin in. So you want to be really careful with that. All right, now let's do the other side. So as you can see, got those right on the tips right there. Those actually should be pretty good. And remember, always put your heat shrink on first. Obviously, like I showed you guys in the beginning, just make sure it's all the way down and out of the way. Don't want that to get hot. Put some solder right there. All right, so that one's on there good. So here we have those. And I'm gonna put it barely over that tip. Probably right where that wire ends right there. I don't wanna put too much on there because I wanna make sure it fits fine. So for this side, it really doesn't matter because you can just switch it depending on which one you're gonna put it in. And what I mean by that is obviously, If they're on the wrong side, you can just switch it. These ones, same here. Obviously red goes with red, black goes with black. So let's get those on real quick. That's on, that's looking good. That's looking real good. So now let's go ahead and plug these in. So real simple to start this off. We're gonna put the positive on the positive side. Like I said, letters facing up. It's only gonna go in one way. So as you can see, this is the wire that's on top of this pin, and that's how much room you have. So obviously the wires are gonna go on top. Probably heard it click in right there. So let's go on this side. This is gonna go on negative. Same thing, wire facing up. I know I'm probably over explaining this to you guys, but if you guys just look at the instructions right here, these ears right here, those are like the locking tabs. They're gonna snap into this connector, and that's what's gonna hold it in. So what you're doing is a screwdriver, you're going to the very edge of it and you're pushing it in. And there we go. That looks really clean. I know we did one on the Spectrum system for the Stampede a long time ago. Did not look this clean. It actually looked pretty messy. Let's get our double-sided tape. Now for the motor wires, it's actually pretty simple. They literally go straight down. We're probably gonna have to test this, and we're gonna be really careful because we want to get this off the ground. Here we go. Let me fix you guys. I'm kind of zoomed out right there, but at least that helps. All right, we're gonna turn the transmitter on. Once that's on, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna hold the power button until the LED starts flashing, then quickly release. Now that we're in the neutral position, we're gonna hit the power button once. It should beep once, then we're gonna go full throttle. Hit the power button again, it should beep twice, then full reverse. Hit the power button again, and it should beep 3 times. So let's hopefully this thing goes well as planned. Let's go ahead and turn on. All right, it's flashing. So we're in neutral, hit it once. Full throttle, full reverse. All right, wow, the steering was kind of going nuts right there. All right, so it looks like we're all good. The only thing we're gonna have to do is hook up the programmer once we get this cover back on, and we're gonna have to change the motor rotation parameter because right now throttle is reverse, so it's just reverse. So we're gonna have to change the parameter. But let's go ahead and get this tidied up, make it look a little bit better. Now, what I'm probably gonna do with this switch, because there is no place to put this switch, there's a nice spot right on that cover, if you guys see what I'm seeing. That'd be a good spot to put it right there. Put it right there. All right, so we got that all secured, got that done. I went ahead, downloaded the app, and I was able to go ahead and change the motor rotation to the other way. That way it's correct. Punch level is 5, brakes are okay. I might fine tune some of the settings to make sure I got the punch that I want. I'm not gonna go overboard with it, but I did go ahead and put the BEC to 7.4, and oh my God, the steering is insane on this. It's so nice. I can't wait to take this for a rip. So without further ado, let's go ahead, take this thing out, take it for a rip, see what kind of settings we have to check on it. All right, so let's go over the settings real quick on this. Turn everything on. All right, we're on. Let's go ahead and link it up. I'm going to screen record this and put it in the video, that way you guys can see what's going on. But first thing I did was I did check to see if it was updated, because some people are having issues with the firmware. So as you can see, the firmware is updated. So I guess it fixed some problem with the way it was acting and handling the parameters. So now if we go to settings and the parameters, as you can see, I got my own profile set up. Right now the running mode, I have it in forward, reverse with brake, which is your standard mode. There's a lot of different settings in here, as you can see. Now the motor rotation, I actually had to switch because when I hit the throttle, it was going in reverse. The fan's getting loud, I have to replace the fan. The BEC, as you see, I went ahead and went from 6 to 7.4, and that dramatically increased. I might leave it right there. Now, the maximum brake force is 62. I thought it was fine. We'll see how it goes. I might up it a little bit. Maximum reverse force, I'm gonna leave alone. Punch 5, I'm gonna leave that just to see how this acts stock, and then I might up it a little bit. Now, initial throttle force is the one that I was curious about. That's at 1%. So what that does, the lower that number actually controls your launch. So when you hit the gas, it's got a slight, not a delay, but a slight increase in speed, and that helps keep traction on launch, which is kind of cool. But for what the stuff that we do out here, I might go ahead and up that later on and see how that works. Now the turbo timing, that actually increases the RPM. Now I'm not going to do that because, I mean, if you don't need to, I wouldn't. That will definitely decrease the life of your motor, increase the RPM, especially going over the recommended spec on that. That could damage your motor. So I'm going to leave that alone. But those are the basic settings that we have in here. Let's go and test it out, see how it handles. If I have to change that initial throttle force, I will. See on acceleration, it's a little slow and then speeds up. Ooh, look at that. Now as I squeeze the throttle, it's got that gradual increase. So I'm probably gonna take that off. Woo!
Got dirt in my mouth.
Definitely has some speed. Let's go ahead and take that initial throttle and up it. All right, so I changed the initial throttle force from 1% to 5%, and I think it goes up to 8. Let's see how that goes. Yeah, that's more on demand. I can probably up that even more. Just to get some speed. Bicycle.
Yeah, I was like, dude, that's actually kind of cool. Now you can like do like a little rock front back. Oh, look at that.
Trying to,
that's actually still kind of cool though. Wow. Oh, come on, buddy, you can do it. Oh, I did it.
All right, so what I did was I went up the punch to 6. That helped it a lot. The initial throttle force, I put 8%. The turbo delay, I did go down a little bit, and that seemed to help the throttle response tremendously. So the only thing that I don't like right now is the reverse. So looking through here, maximum reverse force. So I'm gonna go 50%. let's save that and just see what that does. And what I like to do is turn the car off, which is kind of nice. You can actually turn the car off with the HobbyWing instead of unplugging the batteries. So let's turn that off, turn it back on, and try that out and see if it does better. All right. Okay, reverse is definitely better. So let's see how that works. Throttle's still a little delayed.
Yeah.
Because I can't get right back on it. All right, so there's a few more things I'm gonna check on it. If I miss something, let me know. There's a lot of different settings on the HobbyWing that we're not familiar with, so I'm still gonna go through it, tinker around with a little bit. I might put the punch back down because these were the belted tires I used. If I used the non-belted, I bet you I would have completed that double I was trying for, but it was taking it just fine. When I upped the brake rate and the turbo on it, that's not the turbo lag, but the turbo delay, it seemed to let me correct it a little bit easier when I was about to nosedive. So there's a little adjustments we're gonna have to make on this, but leave a comment down below what adjustments would help. But we're gonna keep tinkering with it. It didn't stall out on all of them. It only stalled once, and that's because the battery connector came undone. So I'm gonna put some tape on that next time so it doesn't happen. It did not die, it survived. We got rid of what you guys call the blue box. That stuff is gone. The steering is way better. I like the acceleration. This thing's back in action. It's gonna be in the next clash, so stay tuned for that. Hope you guys like this video, so make sure you guys like and subscribe. It really helps the channel, so hit that like button. Make sure you guys check out our Patreon and our Instagram channel. See you guys on the next one.